Hi, I'm here to introduce you to an incredible young man. This is him when he was just a babe, little towel-haired boy. And this is him when he graduated from high school. And this young man right here, Daniel, is going to be turning 26 at the end of this month. And the reason I'm introducing you to Daniel is that he's going to do something very special. He's going to answer any questions you have regarding what it's like to be autistic, what it feels like, what's inside your heart, what you recognize, what's inside your mind. See, Daniel, when he was born, first of all, he was our surprise. We thought we were done. We were actually looking at adopting a little girl from Russia. And Pam came home one day and said, we just may want to hold off on this a minute. And we found out that she was pregnant with Daniel. When Daniel was born, absolutely beautiful baby, just his hair almost white. But we found that he wasn't talking, didn't come to talk for years. And he didn't seem to have a lot of tension. He would focus on one thing. We wondered about this. We were worried, obviously, we were worried about our son. And so we took him to an incredible doctor, a good friend, Dr. Mark Ottarizi. And he suggested that we get him tested. Now, understand, he's 4 years old and still not talking. He had many, many tendencies that you would expect from somebody on that autism or Asperger's syndrome. He would watch the same video over and over and over and over again for days and weeks, and then all of a sudden not watch it again. He was very tactile. When he would get ready, his favorite blanket was a green blanket that had a silk border on it, but he would spin that blanket against his cheek until he got just the right feel against his cheek. And until then, he wasn't done moving and manipulating that until it was just right. There were other things, other sensory things, other touches and feels that actually made him almost put him in pain. And I remember the first time we cut his hair. He had this beautiful flyaway hair, and as I cut it, just the feel of the little pieces of hair touching his face, he screamed as if he was being burnt. It's the first time we ever saw him react as if to pain. As a matter of fact, when he had a really bad earache, we didn't know it. I picked him up one day, and I happened to brush his ear, and he pulled away. So we went to Dr. Mark, and here he had a raging ear infection. We would have never known it because he didn't respond to pain and he wasn't able to talk. His foods, if it wasn't for Keebler vanilla wafers, and it had to be Keebler brand, and if it wasn't for salads with green goddess dressing, and it had to be green goddess dressing, and only yellow cheese on the salad, it couldn't be white cheese, and if it wasn't for pretzels, and it had to be Snyder's sourdough pretzels, and if it wasn't for Ovaltine, God love Ovaltine milk, those were what he ate, and that's all he would eat. And it was just amazing. And we were worried. You know what it's like if you're a parent. The one thing you don't ever want to do is see your children hurting or not doing what you would hope they would do. So Dr. Mark set us up with an appointment at Hershey Medical Center. And we took him down, and this little boy went through an entire day of testing, physical testing, psychological testing, motor skills testing, everything. It was quite a tiring day. At the end of the day, we received the report that Daniel is autistic. He's probably mentally retarded. He will never, ever speak to you. He'll never be able to tell you that he loves you. He'll never show emotion. He will never make eye contact. And this went on until they finally told us that in time we will have to institutionalize him because we won't be able to take care of him. And so we walked out with this beautiful little boy between us, walking between us, holding both my and Pam's hands to the car. Now, we always listen to Christian music when we're driving, Christian music or 60s music if I'm driving, but this happened to have been Christian music. When we got in the car, We turned on the car, and at the loudest volume that the car had, and certainly not the volume that we had left it at when we got out of the car, the song that blared was a song by a group called For Him, called The Measure of a Man. And as we had walked out stunned, we sat in that car and we listened to the words of this powerful song. And we started to cry. And we realized that we were trying to measure Daniel to the measurements that we felt were important, not the measurements that God had given him and had given for him. And we cried, and we swore at that time that no child of ours would ever be put in a home, that he would be with us forever. As time went on, we went back to Williamsport. We told Dr. Mark, who showed him the reports, and we had asked Hershey Medical Center, we said, look, we aren't disagreeing with what you say, but where is the best? Money not an issue. Where is the best place we should be taking him? And they said the Kennedy Krieger Center of Johns Hopkins. So we said thank you. We left, and we walked back to Dr. Mark, and we said, we want you to set up an appointment with Kennedy Krieger at Johns Hopkins. But we don't want you to tell them that he's been tested yet. We want them to think they're testing him for the first time. And so Dr. Mark did. So we packed up again and drove another day. And I walked with poor Daniel through all these testing. Long, dreadful testing. And when the day was over, this poor spent little boy was given the exact same diagnosis, almost word for word. He would never be able to smile. He would never make eye contact. He could never tell us he loved us. We would have to institutionalize him. He'd never be able to tell you stories because he wouldn't be able to string things together. And he may never talk. So we came back again. But fortunately, my wife is a woman of great faith and great courage and great strength. And we started off of her lead to work with incredible people here in Williamsport, Hope Enterprises, incredible teachers at Loyalsock Township School District, incredible teachers, aides. Sandy Bourne just became a guardian angel for Daniel. And we decided that we have to just give him the chance to be everything he can be, that we can't limit him. And so I used to take him on long walks, and I'd point to a tree, and I'd say, Daniel, can you say tree? Please just say tree for Daddy. And he would look at me and smile, and he would do this. And I'd pick him up and put him on my shoulders, and we'd walk some more. And we'd come to another tree, and I'd put him down, and I'd say, can you just say tree? Can you just do that for Daddy, please? I love you so much. Just say tree for Daddy. And he would smile, and again. So he's now over 4 years old, and he hasn't spoken a word. We start to use sign language when we speak to him. And we start to require him to give us some indication, a sign back. And slowly, things started to progress. And all of a sudden, he had 3 or 4 words. And we were just so thrilled. It's amazing what you can be thrilled by, you know. I remember watching our oldest son hit a home run in the 16-year-old league, that led to a championship, and that was thrilling. And I remember watching my children in band, marching band, when they won competitions, and I listened to them play, and I see them on stages, and they were tremendous, and you're proud. And I was just as proud of 3 words. 3 words. It was just the most amazing thing. And then we noticed that the 3 words, every now and then he'd pick up a new word. Get him up to 5 words, but from that point on, when he would add a word, he'd lose a word. And so things, kind of settled in, and we expected him to be a certain way and to act a certain way. And so we became very quick to say, That's unacceptable behavior. That's not right. That's unacceptable behavior. And he'd listen. And I tried to teach him how to make eye contact when he talks to somebody. As he finally started to build his vocabulary more and more, he fell in love with school. But I had to hold his head, and I would hold it with both hands and say, "You got to look at me. Look at my eyes." And it was the most painful thing to him. He would he would try so hard to move his head physically, and I had to use every bit of strength I had to hold him still. He said, "Talk to me. Look in my eyes." And when he realized he couldn't move his head, he would dart his eyes trying to move away. But as time went on, he became Daniel. He had the most incredible group of classmates. I wish I could name them all for you. And if you know these kids from Loyal Sock that were in his class, they loved him. They took care of him. I know what schools are like. My wife and I have taught in them for a long time, and I certainly was in them a long time. I know that Daniel was different, and I know that people picked on him. But I also know that there were people there, upperclassmen too, who would walk up behind the people who would pick on them and say, "You're picking on my man Daniel. I don't think you want to do that anymore." So there's a lesson for you all. You can make a huge difference in everybody's life. And so as time went on, he just grew and blossomed. Words became more words. We often say that we got what we wish for, because the young man sure can talk now, and he certainly can tell stories, and he certainly can love. And what is amazing is that he does this with a true and sincere heart. For years, when he would meet people, he would say to them, "Do you have an email address so we can be best friends?" And I'd have to say to the people, he means this. Because see, to Daniel, he doesn't understand why everybody isn't best friends. You aren't supposed to have just one or two best friends. Everyone who's your friend is your best friend. And it's sincere and he means it. And he loves everybody. He doesn't like confrontation. He doesn't like that at all. He doesn't understand it. He doesn't understand why people hate, why people get mad at each other. It bothers him, and he has to retreat to a safe spot where he can be by himself. As time went on, he became a much stronger young man. His goal from the moment he first started to talk was to someday work for the Henson Studios, because he loves the Muppets. He knows everything there is about the Muppets. You can give him say, "Oh, hey, who was the star in season 3, episode 5?" And he will tell you. And he'll tell you what went on in that episode. He became very interested in puppets, and he so much wants to be a puppeteer and to work for Henson Studios. That dream hasn't come true as yet, but we're still hoping. He was able to become involved in basketball, and here again, the coaches in the elementary program at Loyal Sock and the players that he happened to be with just took care of him and took him under his wing and encouraged him. One lesson we've learned is that encouragement is unbelievably important. So as this went on, he then got up to junior high and he continued to play. And he got to senior high, and I thought there'd probably be cuts, and I kind of prepared him. He just loved the basketball team, loved being with them. But I was concerned that he wasn't going to make it on the JV team as a 9th grader. And I kind of prepared Pam, he's probably going to be disappointed when he comes home that he won't have a uniform. And Coach Insinger just, no. He had the uniform, and he played all through high school, and he made the last shot during the championship game for District 4 in Mansfield against Wellsboro. In one of the most dramatic things I've ever seen. He was the last player put in. He made a shot. Honestly, this is straight out of Hollywood, but it's exactly how it happened. He made the last shot. It rimmed the basket and fell out. He followed the shot like he was taught to, got his own rebound, and put it right back up. It rimmed the basket again and went out. You could hear the crowd because everybody knew what was going on, even the Wellsboro fans. And so you heard the crowd go, ah, ah. And then the second time he took the shot, it went out and was caught by a Wellsboro player. There were only 2 seconds left. All the Wellsboro player, they had already lost the game. Loyal Sock had it won. They just had to hold on to the ball. But this young man passed the ball back to Daniel. Daniel immediately took the shot, and as it went through the net, the buzzer went off. And so his last points for Loyal Sock Township High School and for Coach Insinger and for his friends came because of the compassion of a young man that was on the opposing team. If you've watched any of Daniel's accounts online, he spends a lot of time. He makes all his own videos. He edits them. He adds the music. He adds the emojis. He adds everything. He is an amazing young man. And here's what he wants to do for you. If you know somebody who is autistic, if you know somebody who has children or relatives who are autistic, if you just kind of like to know more about how an autistic child feels, how an autistic now young man feels, please send questions to this account or to Daniel's account, because this will be playing on Daniel's account too, and he will answer those questions. You'll hear from Daniel. I won't be telling you the answers to these questions. Daniel will, because Daniel's the one who knows. Daniel's the one who lives it. So this is Daniel's time to give back and to help you understand what it means to be autistic. And he will also come up with a couple podcasts, and we will announce when the podcast will be. So if there's anything that you want to know, please ask this amazing young man, and he will help you understand. Yeah, I want to leave you with just kind of a piece of this song that we heard, The Measure of a Man. God knows and understands. He looks inside to the bottom of your heart. And when you look inside of Daniel's heart, you see God himself in all of his infinite love residing in this autistic young man. It's his superpower. Take care.